Hey. Welcome to episode number 6 from the World of Presentations podcast with 356 Labs. It's me again, but expect someone else to join me quite soon. Boris, for those of you who are listening to this podcast for first time, I'm the founder of presentation agency 356 Labs. Today is a continuation, I can say, from episode number 5. So if you haven't heard that one, please check it out. I will actually advise you to listen to that one first and then come back here. Just an idea though, it's up to you. In the previous episode, we talked about writing down the goal of your presentation, something many presenters miss to do and then regret. Today, I want to talk about the second and maybe even more important thing that needs to be taken in mind, which unfortunately almost every speaker I see just does not plan for, or at least does not plan in the level of detail I would recommend. And the result because of that is every single time the effectiveness of their presentation. I have so many stories on that one, it blows my mind. And all of them are related to that word again, regret. People regret they haven't gone through what I will share with you right now. So what is this thing? This thing is the audience. Every single presentation you deliver is not for you. It's for them. It's for your audience. And if that's the case, it makes sense for us as the presenters, as the speakers, as the trainers, coaches, mentors, whatever, to spend time in analyzing who those people are. Once we know who they are, we'll be able to create a presentation that truly resonates with them and thus move them from point A to point B, as we already discussed in the previous episode. So before jumping into analyzing your audience, one question. How do you find any information about them in first place? Many times when we work with our clients, we face the answer, "Oh Boris, wait, there is no way for us to know who they are." Really? You sure? Let me share you some thoughts on how you can find the information you need. Here are 3 places we would recommend you explore when you try to find information about your audience. First one. Social media. Really? Do I need to explain this? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, whatever is on the market when you're listening to this podcast, what do they post or tweet? What do they share and retweet? What do they comment on? Do they write articles? What articles have they read? Can we see that they wrote an article, let's say on LinkedIn, on a close to our topic? Take that as a fact and use it in our own presentation? Well, you bet we can. And we actually did it for one of our clients who pitched Lufthansa and won the startup competition. How did they win? How did he, more or less, win? Well, because we analyzed the audience and it turned out that the person who was about to decide who wins the competition is a public person. As a public person, he gives interviews. We found those on the web, read them, and in one of them, he said something that actually confirmed what our client was offering. So, you think we didn't create a situation in his presentation where the quote of this person shows up on the slide and our client says, "Some time ago, someone here in the room said something very interesting. We are leaving you 10 seconds to read it." At this moment, smiles. At this moment, actually, he smiled. And boom, connection is established. Also, sites like the popular Q&A site Quora, or even sites like Goodreads. Goodreads is a site, if you don't know it, where people publish which books they read, and they're reading. So, are they reading books? Which ones? Every single thing can be a clue. Every single thing can give you an insight about them, and that insight you can later on use to adapt your presentation. Do I need to mention that sometimes there is a Facebook event for your presentation? Second place to search information from. Friends, acquaintances, and colleagues. Can we ask those 3 groups of people for some audience insight on the upcoming presentation we are going to deliver? You'll be surprised how many times some of those guys can help you out with information that you won't be able to find anywhere. The third place, last but not least, every event is being organized by someone. Can we find their phone, their email, or any other way to just hear them out and talk with them because we may be able to find quite some interesting information in there? Real world example, our client, Deutsche Telekom. They told us during a brainstorming process that there is no way for them to know who will be in the audience. When we asked them, did you try to find out? The answer was again, there is no way. It's a conference. There could be so many different people. Wait a minute. What did you say? A conference? A conference? Every conference is being organized by someone. Let's call those guys and ask them. We called them and they started with the fact that in the last 3 years, we have 15% IT people and 85% IT managers in the crowd. Whoa. Stop here, guys. Don't tell us anything else. 85% managers? Well, wait a minute. This presentation that Deutsche Telekom was about to deliver was full of technical details. And managers do not love details, or at least not all of them. Once we got that, just that, insight, we threw away the presentation they already created and started from scratch. The result? We adapted the content to reflect the audience and their goal. Remember from episode number 5? They wanted people to go to their booth afterwards. And they actually did. One of the biggest telcos in our country went down and asked for a meeting. Why did that happen? Well, because we planned for the audience and we found out in advance who they are. Okay, now that you know how to find information about them, I need to tell you one more thing before going into the details of what are we looking for. This one is important for you to hear too, so focus please. Imagine this. You are about to deliver a presentation. There will be a ton of people in the room. However, there are a few people that you know that are way more important than the others in order for you to achieve your goal. Typical setting, sales presentation or a startup pitch, let's say. In a presentation where you are looking to sell something, you can have 50 people inside the room. 5 of them, however, are going to be responsible for whether or not that product is purchased. Your goal is to sell, so what do? You try to affect all of them, or you try to affect the small group of 5? Yep, you try to affect those 5. This is what we call here a focus group. Every single time when you are about to prepare a presentation, define your goal and then think who will be in front of you. But more importantly, think about, do you need to affect the whole audience so that you achieve your goal, or part of it? When do you want to affect as many people as possible, if you think about it? Well, think about a training scenario, for example. You are delivering a 1, 2, 4, or whatever hour training session. You probably want, in a training session, to affect as many people as possible. So once they leave the room, you try to affect and change as many of them as possible, right? Because it's a training. What about this one? One of our clients had to present in front of Bill Clinton and his foundation in 2018. It's a startup competition in Boston. Teams from all over the world are going to be pitching there. To be more concrete, more than 800 people will be there. So let's analyze this case. Their end goal, Bill Clinton's foundation, to say after their talk, this company is the one we want to invest in. That's the goal. In order for that goal to be achieved, who do they need to affect? The jury? Or the 800 people from the other startup teams? Or both? Well, the answer is the jury only. That means that potentially there could be a case in which, together with you, we leave that room after our client's presentation and we say to each other, this was the most boring and dull presentation I have ever seen in my life. However, if that presentation ended up getting the investment, what happens here? What happens is that the presentation was not for you in first place, and there's nothing wrong with it. So always, now that you know how to find information about your audience, think about whether or not you need to affect everyone around you or just a small group of people in order to achieve your goal. Based on that, let's start searching specific things for specific people. Clear? Let's go. I hope you really understand how important this is and how crucial it could be for your next presentation. Anyway, let's focus. Focus. You now know how to search and you now know who you need to search for. What type of information do you need though? Let's split the information you will be looking for in 3 main categories. The first one, let's call it general category. What do we include in here? Well, let's start here. What is the average age of your audience? Are you going to be presenting in front of youngsters, Gen X people who are around their 50s, who are leaders of companies? They're in their 20th or 30th years of their careers. Second thing, what is the gender split in the audience? More women, more men in the room, half-half? This is definitely something you need to consider if you think about it, right? Nationalities in the room. Third one, people from Germany, people from UK, people from both. These groups are very different and you have to take that into consideration. What's more, if you think about it, you may want to include some recent examples from what happened in their countries or media, if there's obviously something interesting that you can find a way to relate to your subject and thus help yourself achieve your goal. Talking about nationalities, what about religions? What's happening here? And do you need to have something in mind? Be extremely careful with this subject, by the way. Marital status. Are those people married or not? Were they married before? How is that, or can it be related to the talk you have? Number of children, do they have any? How many? Girls, boys? What are their age? What is their age? Anything interesting related to them? Okay, enough for the general category. What else do you want to look for? The second category we can call personal information. Another category of information that may be extremely useful. What are we talking about here? The first thing is, let's say, education. Where have they studied? Are they still students? Personality. Who are they as people? Are they calm and relaxed? Or we know some of them can get nervous quite quickly. What do they care about most? And what do they care about at least? Something else? Interests and influences. Something else? Communities they are part of. Something else? The fifth, at least in my list, in my head, lifestyle, hobbies, sports, music, anything they enjoy. All of those can be used and you can get some incredible insights on what to include or not include in your presentation, and I really hope you are starting to see that. A few months ago, we had a very interesting case during a workshop on storytelling where the first exercise is again, hey, who are you speaking in front? Spend 30 minutes writing everything you can come up with. After 10 or so minutes, I get to one of the ladies in the room and I ask her, how are things going? She replies, I cannot believe this. I'm brainstorming the audience of a presentation that I delivered recently and haven't done this audience analysis at all, and now I see how many opportunities to connect with them I had. Well, yeah, she had them. It's now in the past. Don't make that mistake. Spend time analyzing and finding this information and push yourself to think how that information can be used for your own presentation. Next and final, the third category. Who are they in their professional life? Who are they in their professional careers? You definitely want to know more about things like what roles are they in? Do they have power? How much? How many years of experience do they have in their industry or in the industries that they worked in? Which industries are they actually in? The companies they work or worked for, how big are those companies? Anything specific about those organizations? Do they have multiple offices across the world? Are they just a local company? What is their income level? That could also be interesting, right? Well, that's a lot of things to look for, right? Well, yeah, it's a lot, but it's what it takes to prepare a presentation that resonates with your audience and achieve your goal. If you want to learn more how to plan your presentation properly, go check out our full course on academy.356labs.com. It's called Planning a Presentation Like a Pro, the algorithm we use with our own clients. Use the promo code that I mentioned a few times already during this podcast, 356 podcast, one word, for 30% discount, and enjoy the learning. And in case you want to train the people around you in the subject, ping me on boris@356labs.com, and we can either organize a customized course for you and your teams or enroll them in the online version. And if that's the case, if that's what you're looking for, let me know how many people are we talking about, and I'll personally make sure you get a really cool offer. Thanks for listening, and if you find that episode useful, go check us out on all the other major social media platforms, links in the show notes, where we share a lot of other cool things that will help you become a better speaker. By the way, do you have a case when you analyzed your audience in a similar way and that reflected in your delivering a top presentation? Share your success story with us in the comments. See you next time when I'll share with you some more things that you may want to find information about. And yeah, you guessed it right. It's again connected to your audience. 2 episodes for one thing. That should tell you how important this subject is. Okay, enjoy the day and see you again next week.